You know you're not reading them.
I didn't see
Look at you. Because I always. Why does she keep moving on me? Because she's on the phone. This person.
Well, good morning, everybody. Thank you all online as well for joining us this morning. I just want to briefly introduce myself. I'm Kenny Young, the city manager of College Park. I've been here approximately 2 years in September coming up. So if you haven't had a chance to meet me, hopefully I'll get a chance to meet you soon, but it looks like a lot of those names look familiar to me on board as well as here in person. Just wanted to allow us to give some quick introductions. I'll hand it off to Bob Ryan and we'll go from there.
Thank you, Kenny. Good morning, everyone. We have more attendees on Zoom than we do here in person, but thank you for joining us. We're going to have a slight change to the agenda this morning while we're waiting for the representatives from the liquor board to get here. And so I'm Bob Ryan. I'm Director of Public Services for City of College Park. I know almost all of you. Looks like I know all of you. So welcome. Thank you for participating. This is our annual meeting with the liquor license holders, the stakeholders citywide. We hold this for the purpose of giving you information to help you succeed.
She's on it. She's never on it.
So that's our purpose. You know, we provide information on the liquor regulations, public safety, and then we also have representative of the Maryland Collaborative who can talk about the resources they can provide to you to help keep your customers healthy and safe. And so that's our goal here, to support our businesses, to brief you, answer questions that you may have about how our laws and regulations are enforced in the city, and then also resources that are available to help you help your customers stay healthy. So with that, I'm going to, let's see, I don't think we need to introduce everyone who's in attendance, so let's skip that. And then we're going to go right to a discussion of public safety and security. So we have representatives of Prince George's County Police and University of Maryland Police. And those are our primary police agencies in College Park. And so we'll turn it over. Major Claudia, would you like to take it?
I'd like to know what businesses.
Okay, thank you. So if we can go around and everyone introduce who they're representing. Present here, we have John Brown and the Bentley's staff. Online, I'll just go through. I see Kyle. Kyle, who are you representing today?
Sorry, I'm representing Iron Rooster.
Okay, thank you. Yasmin?
Good morning, everyone. I am representing Terrapin Strip.
Thank you. Linda Carter?
Good morning. I'm an attorney practicing law representing licensees that have alcoholic beverage licenses, many of whom, in fact, some of the people on this hearing today are clients.
Okay, thank you. Molly Mitchell?
Good morning. I'm Molly Mitchell. I am with the Maryland Collaborative to Reduce College Drinking and Related Problems. I'll have a chance a little bit later to talk a little bit more about what we do and what kind of resources that we can provide for the bars in College Park. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. Linda Westgate.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Linda Westgate. I'm the general manager of the Cambria Hotel, College Park, and the Hotel at the University of Maryland.
Okay, thank you. I see someone is identified as Jay.
Hi, this is Jake from Looney's Pub, just representing Looney's Pub.
Okay, thank you. Jake, thank you. And then I see two folks who are phoning in, and I don't see a name. Okay, I see. Sue, is that you? Kathy, okay. And the other phone number?
I'm not sure who that person is. 240-241-4932.
Who's calling from the 4932 number? Okay, they may not have the right connectivity. Let's proceed and turn it over to police discussion.
Sure. So I just want to start off by saying that I think in the last couple of years, we've had a very good working relationship with all the bars in the College Park area, and hopefully we can continue to do so. One of our biggest concerns is underage drinking, students or young people using false IDs, and some of the fights that we've had at one or two bars over the last couple of years. So that's our concerns. We can address them individually as they occur, but I just want to thank everybody for our working relationship that we've had. I think we've come a long way in College Park when it comes down to underage drinking, the fights, et cetera, that was been known for College Park over the years. We made a lot of good improvements, and I think it's because of this working group. And I'll pass it on over to, we can answer questions later, but I'll pass it on over to Mike Ledbetter from University of Maryland.
Good morning. Mike Ledbetter. I'm a major here at the University of Maryland, and I'm going to pass it on to Captain Dave Fields, who is the Assistant Patrol Commander.
Yes, Dave Fields here. Just to speak briefly about University of Maryland's role in the city of College Park and our concurrent jurisdiction, which we share with Prince George's County. Ultimately, starting this weekend up until December, we'll have 2 officers stationed at Knox and 1 there as a deterrent just for pedestrian safety. They won't be there to hand out citations. That's not their role. Ultimately, their role is just the student safety when it comes to getting across the street and whatnot, and just making sure that they obey the laws, and therefore whatever safety concerns may arise at that moment. So that's pretty much our role, unless there's questions or anything like that for the time being.
And just to follow on to that, the city also has 2 contract officers assigned to that pedestrian safety patrol, working Friday and Saturday nights.
Yes.
So that intersection is one of our busiest intersections in the city as far as pedestrian traffic. Historically, we've had some fatalities in that block, which thankfully State Highway Administration installed a median fence that has helped prevent folks running back and forth across that block. So people are funneled towards the intersection where police are there to give advice, give guidance, and warn people who are running across the street, if you will. And I just want to also mention that DCPMA supplements with some funding for the contract police patrol and pedestrian patrol. And so that those funds come primarily from the major bars near that intersection. I think we have 3 currently: Bentley's, Cornerstone, and Terrapin Turf. And in the future, if we have any other major bars that open in that area, they'll also contribute through DCPMA.
If I may, just to speak a little further on when we will be operating there, it'll be Thursday and Friday and Saturday nights from 10:30 at night to 2:30 in the morning, roughly. So just to clarify on that.
Can police comment what kind of support you may provide to the liquor inspectors in College Park? I believe they send customers in who are legitimately underage and use their own personal ID. And I can't recall whether they're using police cadets or other young people to participate.
If we're asked to assist the liquor board inspectors, we'll do so. I'm not going to tell you any of our tactics or anything that we do offhand, but if we're asked to assist, we will do so. I would like to know if all the everybody that's online, who hires secondary employment officers at their establishments? Loonies, last year you hired secondary employment officers. Are you going to do the same thing this year?
Sheriff has used it previously. Years ago, we worked with Officer Torres from Prince George's County for the Office of Secondary Employment to have some contract police officers. But to be honest, a few years ago, we switched over to when kind of school starts, especially on the weekends, to kind of eliminate a lot of the riffraff throughout the community. We pretty much go student ID only. We have found personally that has helped us a lot, and it's created a safer environment for the students, because unfortunately, some of the other patrons that come or maybe visit College Park and an incident happens and then they leave, you never see them again. But the students, for the most part, tend to keep, I guess, the fighting or the drama under control. And so we used to, many years ago, over 5 years ago, we used to have the Office of Secondary Employment. But ever since we've kind of implemented when school is going on to shift over, especially on busier nights, to student ID only, we haven't really had a use for having that type of extra assistance. And that's from Terrapin Turf.
Thank you. Jay from Loonies, are you guys hiring secondary employment this year?
Yes, we are.
And will it be on Friday and Saturday nights?
It's going to be Tuesday, Friday, and Saturday. In the past, we have had it on Thursdays, but I think our security plan that we're proposing right now will just be the Tuesday, Friday, Saturday.
Okay, thank you.
Just to add to your question, Bob, any incidents, any alcohol related incidents that we're involved in at any of the establishments, we would push that information by way of report to the liquor board for attention. But beyond that, that would be our involvement.
Thank you. Is anyone referring students to the Office of Student Conduct for any behavior in that area of town?
Yes, we have a very effective relationship with the Office of Student Conduct, and supported by policy. That is one of the first things that we do on many instances, particularly alcohol related incidents, that we interact with our students with. So we send our fair share of referrals over to the Office of Student Conduct. And I'll speak for Prince George's County as well. They will communicate with us and directly with the Office of Student Conduct when they have interactions that are alcohol related and other interactions that need to be reported to the Office of Student Conduct.
Anyone who's online who's not familiar, several years ago now, the University of Maryland extended the Code of Student Conduct to include any place off campus. And that has been one of the most effective tools that we use these days. So when we have incidents, even city code violations for noise and overcrowding, those kinds of things, we make referrals to Office of Student Conduct. And feedback is that that is often more effective than issuing an infraction or a civil violation. And I've been to some of the Office of Student Conduct boards. They function very much like a court trial, all run by students, and they seem to be very effective in policing their peers. So that's something, and that's also something that any of you who are business owners, you have the right, the opportunity to refer any unruly customers to the Office of Student Conduct, and they'll review your case and take action. And their sanctions range anywhere from letter of counseling to recommending suspension from the university. We've seen that happen, that whole spectrum. Thank you. Would any of the, just to follow on to Major Coletti's question, I think most of you may have private security working on site. Do you have anything you'd like to share with the rest of us about how that works out for you, and what has succeeded for you and what has not? Hi,
Bob,
Linda.
Hey, can I address that, please?
Please.
So most of my clients that operate in the city of College Park also operate under a county liquor board issued entertainment permit. As part of that entertainment permit process, everyone is required to prepare and have approved a security plan, if you will. That security plan is always reviewed by the Prince George's County Police. And if I have somebody in College Park because of concurrent jurisdiction, I always have the university police review it as well. That security plan lists forth both uniformed and private security. And for the purposes of uniformed, a uniformed police officer, for the purposes of the county approval of the entertainment permit, is basically a police officer that could write a ticket to someone who's parked illegally in a handicapped space. So the basic rule of thumb is if you have that authority, then you're uniformed, even if you're not from College Park or the county, the university or College Park, or the county rather. So if you had police officers from Mount Rainier or Laurel, for instance, those would be civilian security, even though they're technically uniformed police officers. So the county approved, the Office of Secondary Employment approves that program for both uniformed police officers and private security. And I have found both the university police and the county police to be very accommodating in working with us for secondary employment. I mean, for private security, obviously, the police are concerned with the quality of a private security force if you're using one. But sometimes private security, it's just internal management. And I'm going to use Iron Rooster as an example. If Iron Rooster would decide to get an entertainment permit for its establishment, you know, in the hotel, it undoubtedly would not be required to have uniformed police officers, and in all probability could use its own management as its security force.
Thank you, Linda. Just a follow on to Linda's comments. All the businesses who've received a liquor license in the city of College Park since the mid 1990s, I believe, have entered into a contract with the city called a property use agreement. And in that, the general terms are outlined as far as complying with liquor licenses, rules, regulations, noise control, and so forth, including the security plans that are needed to get the entertainment permit. And so anyone who's listening, who has questions about their property use agreement, we have those on file here at the city. If you don't have the most current copy, we can provide that to you. Again, for all of the establishments with liquor licenses that were issued after, I believe, around 1995, have that kind of property use agreement. And those agreements have evolved over time to include, again, the entertainment permits and noise control and so forth. Does anyone online have any questions for county or university police? Okay, so let's move on. I haven't heard from the liquor board representatives. Linda, can I impose on you for a couple of minutes?
Of course.
You have a lot of expertise in liquor license regulation.
That's just a nice way of saying I'm old. Thank you.
I have you beat, I'm sure. So are there any highlights that you think our businesses should be aware of in how liquor licenses are enforced in Prince George's County?
Yeah. So going back to something you commented on earlier, in Prince George's County, most of the compliance checks are conducted by the liquor board, and they're usually done without police officers. Although sometimes the county inspectors will use police cadets, but a lot of times they're just friends and family, if you will. They are, like you indicated, all under the age of 21, and they all do have a form of identification. Now, in this county, the county has not adopted, or at least not publicly, not published any rules concerning how these compliance checks are conducted. Sometimes, but I've never had one where somebody has come in with a false ID or an ID that did not belong to them. But they can be expired. They could be, that my favorite one was the United States identification card, which, obviously doesn't exist. So, the big thing and the biggest problem that most of my clients have is they just have somebody on the job that doesn't do their job and doesn't card. That is that's where everybody falls down. And then obviously in College Park, this is somewhat of an issue, but generally I tell my clients not to accept Maryland vertically oriented IDs. They're only good for 60 days after the person turns 21. But if you rely on your staff to have to calculate the birth dates, I guarantee they're going to do it wrong 50% of the time. And, my personal experience has been every year between offers and compromises and hearings, we probably have 50 or 60 sales to minors statewide, and more than half of them are because they either didn't card or they accepted a vertical ID. It's more than 90%. It's very rare that you have somebody that cards and actually just takes the wrong one. So from your, as a licensee's perspective, that's the single most important thing, just especially in College Park, and after 9 o'clock, obviously, for those of you that have entertainment permits, it really becomes pretty easy because you can card at the door, and if they're not 21, you can't let them in. So the issue arises, from 6 to 9, how you take care of that, and how at 9 o'clock you push out those people that are not 21, because if you're doing entertainment, they can't be there.
Okay, thank you. And can you think of anything unique to our property use agreement that's not already covered in Board of License Commissioner rules and regulations?
No, you're the PUAs, especially of late, really harp on the fact that compliance is required. The only thing that is that's not in the board rules, but is in some of your PUAs, is the food to alcohol ratio. Because effectively, there really is no required food to alcohol ratio for most restaurants in Prince George's County anymore, at least from not most of the places that are operating in College Park under entertainment permits. So many of my clients in College Park do have food alcohol ratios in the PUAs, but that's the only thing I can think of, Bob. Everything else is, common sense or law.
Thank you. And just quick follow up on that. We do send out requests in December 1st of January to everyone with a property use agreement, asking for their sales ratios, food to alcohol sales ratios. And then we compare that to the individual agreement. And so the Board of License Commissioners gives the city an annual opportunity to oppose renewal of liquor licenses. And that usually starts in March, depending on the different classifications of liquor licenses. March and April is the timeline for the city to oppose any renewal. And it has been quite some time since the city had to oppose renewal of any of the licensed establishments in the city. It was, again, quite some time ago, at least 15 years ago, that happened, and an establishment did not have their license renewed. And it was based on evidence of some pretty egregious behavior, chaining exit doors shut, and accepting a $5 bill at the door as valid ID, those kinds of behaviors. And so it took the city about a year to build that case, using fire inspector reports and health department reports and liquor inspector reports, and put our case together and did oppose that renewal. So that's very, very rare. And again, we're looking for people to succeed. And so that's one of the reasons we're doing this kind of meeting and providing this kind of information. Is there any questions for Linda Carter or police? If not, I'll move on. Okay, thank you. I'd like to review some of the issues that city code enforcement addresses. And as you heard, we have property use agreement that we do enforce if there's, reports of non-compliance. We would investigate that seek compliance. And if we don't get that, then we would bring that to the city attorney, since that's a contract issue. But other things that we do address, and our city code enforcement officers are also deputy state fire marshal inspectors. And so when we do random checks in our bars and restaurant, we do enforce fire code regulations. These are adopted through the city code. One of the issues that I think everyone here is probably aware of already, but there's a requirement in the fire code to have crowd managers in public assembly establishments such as yours. And so there's a training, there's in the program today, there's a link to online training for crowd managers. So when you're open as a public assembly, you have to have at least one crowd manager on site. And usually that's just the on-duty manager who's taken the course and knows things to look for. Once you have 250 people in attendance, then you need a second person who's been trained to help. And the primary role is to first make sure your establishment is safe when the crowd manager comes on duty. So checking to make sure the back halls aren't loaded with storage that block the second exit from your establishment, making sure that exits are clear, exit signs are lit, those kinds of simple preparation work. But also it's important to have someone there who has some awareness of what to do in an emergency, as far as evacuating your establishment if necessary. If there's a fire in the kitchen or something like that, your crowd manager should be able to evacuate the building and call 911 and keep people away from danger. So that's kind of the gist of the crowd manager role. And again, there's training online, and we can resend this link to everyone that we sent the original invitation to. Some other things that we look for, our code enforcement folks look for, is waste management. Some of you know that that's a huge challenge. Making sure that your refuse contractors pick up your waste in a timely manner so that it's not overflowing your dumpsters. We've had some experience with some waste contractors who, when they would empty a dumpster into their truck, they'd spill trash in the street and not pick it up. So again, please, manage your contractors, make sure that they pick up frequently enough that you don't have overflowing dumpsters. And I have to shout out to Yasmin and Chase Castle, who recently helped us solve a problem in an alley off of Knox Road. So they got cooperation among all of the businesses that are adjacent to that alley, reduced the number of dumpsters in the alley by half, and increased pickup to 6 out of 7 days a week. And so we look forward to that problem not recurring. And again, thanks. That was a cooperative effort. We had a meeting among all of the businesses on the alley several weeks ago, and that plan came up again through Yasmin and Chase. So thank you.
Well, thank you. Have your guys' support, we wouldn't have been able to have everyone, be so on board with it. So thank you so much for, supporting our ideas and allowing us to get together and taking the time to have that meeting, because it really did make all the difference. Everyone was very responsive. So thank you. Hopefully we can keep it going through the school year.
Thank you. Thank you. And I think that's typical of most of our businesses as far as cooperating with each other. I know some of the major bars downtown work together in regards to your private security, issues that you become aware of, you let each other know. And so thank you for that. Another issue that came up a little more last year that I think we addressed, and that's noise. We had some businesses, and not just businesses with liquor licenses, but other businesses downtown who installed external speakers and were blasting music out to essentially to attract business. With all the construction downtown, that's been a challenge. Some of the businesses that are not as accessible as they were. And so we do enforce the city noise ordinance when it comes to exterior speakers. So again, we reach out if we get a complaint, or if the code officer on duty determines that, he can hear somebody's music 2 blocks away, or those kinds of things, you'll be approached and asked to turn the music down. The same noise limits that apply in our neighborhoods apply in the business district. And so daytime, that's 65 decibels, nighttime, 55 decibels. And we would measure that at the curb outside of your business. So again, thank you for your cooperation, and we will reach out if we're aware of a problem and seek your assistance to solve that. And we're ahead of schedule. So I will, and Raj, who are you with? Yeah.
Hi there, this is Raj Chopra. I'm with 7-Eleven, College Park, Maryland.
Okay, thank you.
How you doing?
Good. And so just anyone who came in late, this meeting is recorded, so it'll be available. So the information will be available to anybody who couldn't make it today. And I think we can move ahead. Does anybody have any questions about city code enforcement? The code officers come around and do an annual inspection, and that's for the city occupancy permit. But as I said, our code officers will come in, do spot checks for fire code compliance, and also will come to you if we get any complaints. So we're trying to be as collaborative as possible and to seek out your help to solve problems. So that's our goal. Like to move on and see if Molly is ready to do her presentation.
Absolutely.
Hi, and if you bear with us for a minute, our our video controller is stepped out of the room for a second. So
Okay.
just give us a minute. If you'd like to introduce yourself, though.
Of course, sure. It's really, thank you so much, first of all, Bob, for inviting me to be here. It's really great to listen to all the progress that's being made at College Park and to see so many businesses participating in this discussion and preparing for the year coming up. So it's great to be here. If you like, I can also try to pull it up on my screen and share my screen if that would be any easier.
Trying to share the screen with Molly.
Sorry. I don't think I heard
Sorry.
somebody was just talking.
Hang on, Molly. We're
Okay.
having
Yeah.
some technical challenges that we're
Okay.
trying to.
Sure.
We'll have you right up.
Thank you. Well, while we're waiting, I can just tell you a little bit about the Maryland Collaborative to Reduce College Drinking. First, I'm just curious how many of you have heard of us? Maybe you could just do a show of hands with your electronic hand if you've heard of the Maryland Collaborative. Just like, folks have not. So this is a great opportunity to let you know. The Maryland Collaborative was started 11 years ago, and it was started by then State Secretary of Health, Josh Sharfstein, who knew that there was a problem, a public health problem with excessive drinking. Okay, looks like I'm the co-host now, so I will pull it up on my screen. Let's bear with me for a second.
We're just changing some wiring here so that we don't lose the presentation completely. I've made you co-host, so as soon as we push this last button, you'll be able to share your screen.
Okay, great. I'm getting advanced sharing options. Let's try this. Here we go. Let's see.
Seeing her here.
Sorry.
Let's see.
This, if we do the duplicate, give me a second. Yeah, that might be.
All right. Oh, thank you, Yasmin. It looks like Yasmin. Were you saying that you've heard of the Maryland Collaborative? Is that why your hand is up? Okay. So I'm just going to make this quick. I know I am all that is standing between you and your lunch break. So I'm just going to give a very brief overview of the Maryland Collaborative, who we are, how we got started. And then most importantly for you, I'm going to talk about the resources that we have available for bars and bar owners. And then we'll just have a little bit of time. And hopefully when we're done. I feel like I hear something there. Some talking.
Yeah, we were just trying to fix our equipment here.
Oh, okay.
Sorry about that.
Are we all set or
Yes.
you ready to go? Okay, awesome. So as I mentioned, the Maryland Collaborative was started 11 years ago by the State Secretary of Health, who knew that excessive drinking among college students was a public health problem. And he knew that the colleges and local communities had very few resources to try to address it. And he also knew that we had some of the greatest resources right here in the state in terms of alcohol policy. And so he wanted to see what would happen if we would join those resources with the colleges. So I'm based at the University, Johns Hopkins University at the School of Public Health there. And we also work very closely. The other PI is at College Park at the University of Maryland. Some of you may know Amelia Aria. And this just gives a very brief little snapshot of excessive drinking. And excessive drinking as defined by the CDC includes any drinking under the age of 21, along with drinking by pregnant people, and binge drinking. And binge drinking, as you probably all know, is any drinking of 5 or more drinks on one occasion for men, or 4 or more drinks on one occasion for women. And this is national data. About 29% of college students engage in binge drinking. And then high intensity drinking is drinking 10 or more drinks on one occasion. And about 1 in 10 college students engage in high intensity drinking. Here's my slides. Not looking at the tab. Here we go. Okay. And we know that when students start engaging in excessive drinking when they're in college, or cannabis use, or any other drug use, or have untreated mental health concerns, what can often happen is it starts to change the way their brain is wired, and they start to rely on alcohol or other drugs to deal, or rather not deal, as a coping mechanism. And it can start to create some neurocognitive and motivational consequences for them that can have repercussions throughout their life. And this is why we care. This is why we are really thrilled to be working together with you to reduce excessive drinking among college students. The Maryland Collaborative now has 18 members, and we're really proud to have members all throughout the state, including private and public institutions, 4-year and 2-year colleges. And the Governance Council is made up of the college presidents. We also have community and campus stakeholders, and we have peer exchanges every month for people that are administrators at our institutions to share their successes, their challenges, talk with each other, and hear from presenters around the country about what works and provide resources. We also provide individual level and environmental level based training for schools. So we like to look both at the individual level, so identifying students who might be having a problem with their alcohol use early on and providing them the kind of intervention and referral treatment if needed, as well as looking at those environments where a lot of high-risk drinking takes place and creating trainings and policy changes that can address those environments and make them less risky. So what does this all have to do with you, and what can bars and restaurants do? And it sounds like a lot of you are already doing a lot of this, which is really fantastic. So training all of your service and managers in responsible beverage service, checking IDs of all patrons who appear to be under 40, using ID scans that are linked to a driver's license database that so you don't have to rely on somebody at the door who's actually checking IDs the way you trained them to. Examine identifications to prevent minors from consuming alcohol, and training your people at the door to be doing that. Cutting off customers who are obviously intoxicated. And then watching recorded training that we have. I'm going to tell you how to access that for bar owners and managers. We also have a voluntary retail agreement, and this voluntary retail agreement, as it indicates, is voluntary. It's just an opportunity for a bar or restaurant to indicate that they are interested in implementing all of these best practices to reduce the chance of excessive drinking or underage drinking at their establishment. And I'm more than happy to send a copy of that voluntary retail agreement to anybody interested in signing it. It's just like an indication of goodwill. So we do have a training that we provide every year. We don't have the dates for this coming year yet. It'll likely be in February and March. So this is a flyer actually from last year, rather earlier this year in the spring. And this is taught, a 3-hour training taught by Greg Hanauer, who was a bar owner for the iconic iClub in LA for 20 years. He learned a lot of lessons the hard way, and he shares those lessons with you. And he has been in your shoes. He knows what it is like. He knows the challenges that you face and what it's like to run that kind of a business. So he has very, very practical lessons about law enforcement, about insurance claims and how to reduce your liability for insurance claims, and how to maximize your profits. And we love bringing Greg in because he really does a great job of explaining how you're actually increasing your profits when you implement a lot of these best practices for reducing problems in the bar that keep your patrons safe, that reduce excessive drinking. So this is just a little bit more about Greg's background. He's a very charismatic presenter. He's got incredible depth of knowledge. He does a lot of work in training people all over the country. He also does one-on-one consultancy for people to figure out how they can improve their own bar and their practices and improve their own profits. So how do you access this training? We do have the recordings from earlier, the training that we provided earlier this year in March and April. And there are those links right there. I can also send these to you, Bob, in an email, if that would be an easier way to share it with all of the bar owners so they can access it really easily. And
Yes, thank you.
okay, yeah, absolutely. So, and I can also send QR codes, whatever is easier. We divided it up this year into 3 separate 1-hour trainings. We thought that was a little bit easier for people to manage rather than just sitting down at your computer for a 3-hour stretch. And we cannot provide this to folks who watch the recording, but if you watch it live, in the past, we've been able to provide monetary compensation because we know that your time is valuable. And so we hope to be able to do that again this year. And we will hopefully be able to work with Bob to get those dates out to you when they are set for later this year. In addition to the 3-hour training, Greg also provides a 70-page manual that includes a lot of the content from the training. He also will provide for you very individualized policies and practices that you can post in your bar and implement in your bar. So I think it's a great value. It's free. This is certified as an alcohol awareness training by the state of Maryland. And so, and again, the target audience for this are bar owners and managers. So this is not a training for those people working at the door or bartenders, but rather for the owners and or managers of the bars. And this is just a brief review from one of the bar owners in College Park, Dan Seaman. He says that he found the training to be informative, very relevant to even seasoned restaurateurs. So again, this is not just a basic training. We feel like it's unique and a great opportunity. So we're really glad that we can provide that for you. And I am more than happy to hear any questions that you might have and entertain a discussion if you like.
I have one, please.
Sure.
Excuse me.
I'm sorry, could you introduce yourself?
I'm Mary John. And so is there any way we could obtain this information online, Sharon? Can you give us a link that we might be able to do that so that we can go back through what you've said and review it ourselves and choose what we might participate in for all of it?
Yes, so let me just clarify. Are you asking for the links or are you asking for more detailed information about the content?
First the link so that we can review it ourselves.
Absolutely, yeah. I can share those links with you. I was thinking I could send that out to Bob in an email and then he could forward it to folks.
I went to Bob's boss, Sharon, and asked her for
If anybody has another suggestion on an easier way to share those links with everyone, I'm happy to do whatever would be easiest. Awesome.
Yasmin's hand is raised.
Oh, okay. Yes, Yasmin, did you have a question or comment?
Oh, no, I raised my hand in the beginning when you had asked if you've heard of the Maryland Collaborative.
That's what I thought. Okay.
Thank you.
Sure. Any questions about the training or anything that any other ideas of what we could possibly do to make your jobs easier as we all work together to keep our students safe and healthy and keep your businesses thriving? Great.
And when we send the information out, or is everyone welcome to reach out to you individually with? Thank you.
Absolutely. Please do. Yes. And I'm sorry, my colleague at the University of Maryland wasn't able to join me today, but as you probably know, there is a lot of work that is also being done at the University of Maryland College Park's Health Center. They do a lot of work with students to reduce harms for students who do choose to drink. to help them figure out how they can plan their night ahead so that they're not engaging in excessive drinking and causing problems for themselves and you. So
If I may chime in, one of the most current issues for University Health Services and all public health folks is suicide prevention. It's a bigger problem than we know generally, through public information. And last year, there was a national emergency number for suicide prevention, and that number is 988. And university, of course, provides mental health support for university students, but the 988 number is available to anyone. And it's online 24/7 counseling, advice, and so forth. So some of you may know that you have some customers or even employees who are going through some suicidal thoughts, some emotional challenges. So please be aware of that. Be aware that there are resources available, and that's the latest information. The 988 number is something that's only about a year old, and so it's a nationwide number now. So please share that information, and if we get any sort of information, we'll share with you. So thank you.
thank you, Bob.
Does anyone have any questions for Molly? And again, we'll share the information to everyone who was invited to this meeting. And these sessions were recorded, and so they'll be available on the city webpage. And so if there are no further questions, and again, I want to thank Linda Carter for filling in and providing us with advice on how the Board of License Commissioners functions in Prince George's County. And so with that, we're open for any closing comments from anyone. And if not, I would like to thank everyone for participating, and please share the information that we shared with any of your colleagues, any of your peers who weren't able to be here today. So again, thank you very much. Any other comments from any of the panel who are here?
Bob,
And
I'd like to thank you and the city, quite frankly. You and I have been partners in this for a very, very long time now. And, the city, I think when I first started practicing law, had a very adversarial relationship with many of the establishments in downtown College Park. And that has really changed in the course of the last 40 years. It now truly is a partnership. And I know I appreciate it and my clients appreciate it. So thank you.
last call, anyone? And I forgot to introduce Michael Williams, who's been here throughout the morning with us. Michael is the Economic Development Manager for the city. And I think many of you have met him. I think he's been active with Downtown College Park Management Authority. And so Michael's relatively new to the city, but has made a huge impact in the year. How many years have you been here? 2 years. Lose track of time when you're having fun. So thank you all, and take care.
Thank you, Bob.
Thank you so much. Take care.
Thank you, Bob. Thank you.